Feminism is a noble concept against ignoble thought of discrimination on the ground of sex, the creation of patriarchal society in which all social norms were created and controlled by men, making women a passive partner in a whole course. Feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the ground of equality of sex. Feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the ground of equality of sex. It initiated in the West, exhibited throughout the world, and was exemplified by countless people and institutions committed to action on behalf of women's rights and interests. It could be traced way back in the 3rd century BCE, when Roman women filled Capitoline Hill and blocked every entrance to the forum, because Consul Cato resisted attempts to repeal laws limiting women's use of expensive goods. However, its modern avatar came in different waves, bringing forward different aspects on feminist issues. First wave of feminism. From 19th to early 20th century, an issue raised during this period were suffrage, working conditions, and educational rights. Start with married women property law in the US in 1809 and remained till right to vote was granted in 1928. 69 incidents, out of which important ones were celebration on First International Women's Day in 1913 and Germany right to vote to women in 1919. The second wave of feminism from 1960 to early 1980, and it brought forward issues like inequality of law, cultural inequalities, and role of women in society. The important incident of this period included Foundation for National Organization for Women in 1966, establishing American Radical Organization Red Stocking in 1969, and the American National Black Feminist Organization in 1973. The third wave of feminism started in 1991 when Rebecca Walker, an American feminist, published an article becoming the third wave following establishment of Riot Girl movement in Washington. Major incidents of this space included Gender Equality in Education Act in 1994 and the Violence Against Women Act in the US in 1994. Third wave of feminism, it started in 2012 and it is associated with the use of social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, and blogs. It focused on justice for women, opposite to sexual harassment and violence against women. Major issues included street and workplace harassment, campus sexual assault, and rape culture. During different waves of feminist movement, different feminist ideologies came into existence, included liberal feminism, which was based on the equality of men and women through political and legal reform without altering the structure of society. Radical feminism, which considered male-controlled capitalist hierarchy as the defining feature of women oppression and the total uprooting and reconstruction of society necessary to reach their goal. Libertarian feminism, which conceives people as self-owners and entitled them to freedom from conceived interference. Separatist feminism, which did not support heterosexual relationships, closely related to this was lesbian feminism, and ecofeminism, which believed that men's control of land was responsible for the oppression of women and destruction of natural environment, and materialist feminism, which believed in critical analysis of capitalism and its ideological relationship to women. And social feminism, it wanted to end both of economic and cultural source of women oppression. And the last is the lipstick feminism, which is a cultural feminist movement with an attempt to respond and to backlash second wave of radical feminism of 1960 till 1970 by reclaiming symbol of feminine identity such as makeup, suggestive clothing, and sexual allure as valid and empowering choices. Analysis. To know more about feminism, we can analyze a dollhouse novel. The first is problem does appear to Nora as a woman is she must follow the rules given from her husband, and at first we know that Nora must follow all the rules and do what her husband said, and the problem that appears is, and at that era is she must take care of her attitude. Women in that era can borrow money and they must keep and save money that given, and they can wasting money and should stay at home and take care their children. And some people know that it's not good if their neighbor know that the woman loan some money. And like the conversation at that novel is when Helmer said to Nora, "Don't disturb me. Both did you say all these things? Has my little spendthrift been wasting money again?" And when Nora and Mrs. Linde said, "Because you couldn't have borrowed it," and Nora said, "Couldn't I? Why not?" Mr. Linde said, "No. A wife cannot borrow without her husband's consent." And the second is, it is different with now. In this era, women can choose even if they want to stay at home or working. And in this era, many women can be a businessman. And the third is, after passing the long way, characterization of Nora is changing. She more be brave and to make choice, and she try to solve her own problem, and she do not share anything to Torvald, but she share her own problem with her best friend, Mrs. Linde, and we can know when Mr. Linde asks to Nora, "And since then, have you never told your secret to your husband?" And Nora said, "Good heaven, no, how could you think so? A man who has such strong opinions about this thing, and besides how painful and humiliating it would be for Torvald, with his manly independence, to know that he owned me anything, it would upset our mutual relation altogether. Our beautiful happy home would no longer be what it is now." And the fourth is, Nora become powerful because Torvald said that she is terrible wife. She angry and she said that this is for him. But Torvald doesn't want to hear anymore, so Nora decides to leave Torvald and their children. And the conversation is, Nora said to Torvald, "You mean that I would never have accepted such a sacrifice on your part?" "No, of course not. But what would my assurance have been worth against yours? That was the wonderful things which I hoped for and feared, and it was to prevent that and that I want to kill myself." And the fifth is, after Torvald know that Nora loaned some money, he angry, terrified, and Nora decide to leave Torvald, and Nora gave her opinion and said to Torvald, "It gave me great pain, Torvald, for you have always been so kind to me, but I cannot help it. I do not love you anymore." And Torvald answered it like, "Is that a clear and curtain confession too?" And Nora said, "Yes, absolutely clear and curtain. This is the reason why I will not stay here any longer." And Nora decided to leave Torvald. And the last is Nora as a woman at the house, she can breaking down the role given for her husband, and she tried to forget her love and throw it, and she know that she is become a Torvald doll. She thinks Torvald do not love her and just make her as a doll. So he decided to leave Torvald, and Nora said that, "Oh Torvald, you are not a man to teach me to be a fit wife for you." And very likely, but you neither think or nor talk like the man I can share my life with. When your terror was over, not for what threatened me, but for yourself. When there was nothing more to fear, then it seemed to you as though nothing had happened. I was your luck again, your doll, just a beaver whom you will take twice as much care of in future, because she was so weak and fragile. Torvald, in that moment, it burst upon me that I had been living here this 8 years with a strange man and had borne him 3 children. Oh, I can bear to think of it. I could tear myself to pieces. And Nora left Torvald. The conclusion of this analysis is based on the Dollhouse novel. Feminism applied with women who can choose her own way, and women must break all the rules that given to be freedom. They must be brave to become stronger, and they must choose what they want to and try to reach it. They must speak up so men can understand and what they want. Must brave to against the world and do not hear anything that people say, and people should understand women to know her better, because women also want to people hear them and understand them. And this is all my presentation of analyzing a Dollhouse novel, and thank you.